the civil service drives development in any state.
Right. Point taken there. Let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion, where we just have few months after the elections, the general elections. The Labour Party appears to be fighting for its survival. And following the Federal High Court ruling in Kano State that nullified the candidature of Abia State Governor-Elect Alex Otti, the party has filed an appeal against the judgment. Responding to the ruling, counsel for Labour Party UmehKalu has filed an appeal on May the 22nd. He is urging the court to set aside the judgment of the trial court. Let me come to you with this, Dari. What was the basis now? Because we understand everyone was jubilating when the elections was held and Alex Otti was declared winner. But let's understand, what was the basis for the Federal High Court that nullified Alex Otti's candidature?
The Federal High Court in Kano.
Right.
Let's put it in perspective.
Okay,
you see, people need to really understand what happened. And it's simple. I have had people linking the judgment to Obi's case in the presidential judgment, and I said no, that's nothing to do with it. What the people who went to court in Kano went to ask for, they identified two states, Kano and Abia, where the state chapters of the party, not the national. What is at stake has nothing to do with the national leadership. The state chapters of the party in these two states did not submit the membership registers to INEC as they ought to do. Allegedly. They are alleging that these membership registers, which are part of the requirements for fielding candidates for a general election, were not submitted in Abia and in Kano. And part of the things they presented before the court were letters from INEC asking for these materials. And the judge, in his wisdom, looked at it and said, if the party register is a criteria for you to participate or to field the candidate, and you didn't do that, then you have not been, you as a party have not validly nominated a candidate for any position in the affected states. That's the judgment. And what has the judge done? He terminated the candidacy of Otti and others. It is a pre-election matter. So he could not rule on the governorship election. He did not declare his election null and void, nor did he say he was not validly elected. No.
Right.
The judge did not delve into such matters. What he looked at was a pre-election matter before him. The evidence showed that possibly there has been an aberration of some sort on the part of the Abia State chapter of Labour Party in not submitting the party register. So that is what the judge ruled. And unless the party in their appeal
for Alex Otti's certificate of return to be withdrawn.
Right.
That is the sticking point there. He didn't give that order. That despite the fact that the applicant sought the court's what was it called? That's despite the fact that the applicant sought the court's
is it what they use it? Is it prayers or something? You're trying to
that's why now we are not lawyers. That's why if I had, okay, let me just keep it simple.
Yeah, better.
PISS. That's why I found that the applicant in one of the reliefs that is sought before the court demanded that the certificate of return issued to all those candidates in those constituencies be withdrawn from them and given to the people who came second in the primaries. The judge fell short of giving that consequential order. Yes, he gave a ruling that it made the emergence of those individuals illegal. But he didn't follow it up with a consequential order by saying, okay, take the, as a result of my my findings, this and that, my conclusions. My conclusion is that they should take, INEC should withdraw the certificate of return. It didn't do that. So that in itself gives Alex Otti
a breather.
Yes, some form of breather. But they are not resting on their laurels. They have decided to appeal to be on the safe side, because I've heard people say, no, he did not, his judgment had nothing to do with Alex Otti. He did not refer to Alex Otti, and I just shook my head. Everyone tries to interpret a judgment based on their emotions and sentiments, you know, which is not like that. That it didn't give a consequential order does not mean that it did not render, it did not pronounce the emergence of these people illegal. It is clear. Now, let me read what he said. Justice Unisa said, a party that has not complied with the provisions of the Electoral Act cannot be considered to have a candidate in an election, and thus cannot be declared the winner. So that's what he said on the day. The only thing, he didn't follow that up by saying, okay, as a result of this is what INEC take, sometimes courts give such consequential strong order. For example, in Bayelsa, when the deputy to the Villion was discovered to be parading a fake certificate, the judges, you know, of the Supreme Court affirmed that the guy's certificates were questionable, and because you can't stand alone, it's a joint ticket. Once anything happens to your deputy,
it affects you as well.
Both of you are gone. So that consequential order, the judges gave consequential order that all the votes that APC garnered,
nullified,
because you can't build something on nothing.
Right.
And as a result of that, a PDP that came second,
it emerged.
Their candidate became the winner of the election. You know, so in this case, he left Otti alone. He didn't give a consequential order directing that his certificate of return should be withdrawn. So at least he's still with him. A certificate of return issued by INEC can only be taken by a court of law. No one can withdraw a certificate. INEC cannot withdraw by itself a certificate of return that it has issued unless a court of law orders it to withdraw the certificate of return. So, as far as I'm concerned, Otti is safe up to this moment, and I've been wondering why the case did not originate from Abia. I guess the person who filed this matter was just looking at, okay, yes, I'm concerned about Kano, but the biggest beneficiary of APC, LP's 2023 general election victories was Alex Otti. Is the biggest person they have so far. Others are senators.
House of Reps.
Yes, he's the biggest. He's the biggest.
The victory of the Labour Party.
Yes, he's the biggest person they have in government now, because Obi is not in government. So, and he was targeting that, but let me had him. But the case ought to have emanated from Abia. You know, I think that the same thing that happened in Anambra before the primary election in Anambra, the same thing that happened in which state again, where the case was taken all the way to Jigawa State. Somewhere
That was
in the
the originating state?
Yes, I think it's still Anambra. It was still Anambra, the governorship primary. They took a matter, those who challenged Soludo's emergence. They took a matter to Kudu in the Gawa State. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the issue of jurisdiction came in. Because, yes, you say it's a federal high court, but the rules of the court affirm that such matters must originate from the state, because you have a federal high court in that state.
Absolutely. Indeed. Final thoughts on this before we take
I think I just want to speak on the issue of where it originated from. There is need for local standing. And I think the case in Kano was, the fellow may be concerned about Kano, but saw a similarity in what is going on in Abia and decided to sort of add it up. Or, being politicians that they are, perhaps there is actually an interest, ab initio. And if you look at the appeal filed by Labour Party, they are filing appeal on 5 grounds. And one of which is the fact that the court should not have entertained jurisdiction in the matter. And they are also concerned about the issue of time limit. They are also claiming that the suit was filed out of time. That it is not an issue. It's an issue that should have been dispensed within 21 days after the case came. The issue came up, but long after that they are coming up with this, and they are also positing that the trial court also erred in law, and that his judgment is a miscarriage of justice. Right. So these are the grounds, among others, for which they are seeking for the pronouncement of the judge to be overturned. So if you look at it, it is neither here nor there. Right. Some analysts insist that the only way out of this for Labour Party is to prove that they submitted the party membership register as at when they ought to have done.
Right. Let's quickly go on a very quick